Hello everyone, it's Wolfgang. This is a video about being afraid to post on social media. Many people are hesitant to, to put out content, text content, audio content, video content. Some people are hesitant to post on social media, and it's probably related to fear of the unknown. So I had no experience posting on social media before I started. I didn't really know what to expect. This is my just a little over 2.5 months update since I started posting. And the biggest concerns that people tend to have are listed here. Let me go through these. How much time will it take? So, and by the way, I'm going to refer to my notes because I didn't fit everything on the board. It really depends the amount of time on the length of your content. This includes like a podcast, a video. It depends on the length, how complex your content is, and whether or not you edit. If you don't do any editing, the process can be very fast. If you have a fairly brief amount of content and you don't edit, it can be very fast. I did that at the beginning when I started posting 2.5 months ago. I've since added some editing. Doesn't add that much time, but it does add some time. Another question people have, how long does it take to learn how to make the best kind of content? And that's kind of a one foot in front of the other process. It's slow, it's incremental. You tend to get better over time if you're attentive to it. If you're intentional about trying to improve, you figure out things you can do because you'll look online about what other people are doing, how to do it, how to make better content. So that's just part of the process. It's incremental. Are shorts important? Another question people have, is it better to post short content rather than long form? I'm not really sure about that yet. I haven't done shorts yet, so that's a work in progress. Some people are concerned about the cost. How much does it cost? You can use your smartphone. You can make content with the smartphone, upload it to the social media site. It's not very expensive. It's as expensive as you make it. If you buy a video camera like I did, if you buy a microphone like I did, that adds a little bit to it, but it's not that expensive. It's fairly affordable. So a lot of people have fear about being judged. And I have to say that that was one of my concerns. How will I come off? How will that be perceived by people who know me? But you have to realize that your entire life is spent socializing. If you look at your week, there were probably a lot of situations where you were surrounded by strangers, people who didn't know you, at the grocery store, at work. You may have run into people who didn't know you. So, and you didn't fear that, right? When you go to the grocery store and you talk to people who are strangers, like if you ask for help from an employee, people in the checkout line you might talk to, they were strangers, right? And that didn't bother you. That didn't, there's no fear about doing that. So I have to say that social media posting is really no different. It's pretty low-key stuff. So it's, like I said, it's fear of the unknown, probably. People think they're going to start posting and everyone will notice. Something like that. I'm not sure. So a question people have is, should I do text, audio, or video? Is it better to keep a low profile in the beginning and just do text posting? You can do that. Or an audio format only. Some people are afraid of, for some reason being seen. You could do that too. You could stick to audio or do what I did and just start with video. I just started with video because it became clear to me when you think about it for a short time, strangers see you every day of the week. People who don't know you, you encounter them, and your entire life is spent doing that. So if you can appear in front of people at the grocery store, at work, all the common situations throughout the week you run into, posting video, it's really no different. In the beginning, people who see your content, they probably don't know you, right? And it's the same thing going shopping. If you go to a shopping mall, any social setting, you're going to run into people who don't know you. So I just went right to video. But you can start, if you're very shy, because some people are shy and there's nothing wrong with that. You can start with text, get some confidence that you can pull that off, then move up to audio, and then to video. You can do it in a step-by-step process to build up confidence that some people are concerned about the quality of their content that they're producing. Does it meet some standard that they have in their mind? Usually that comes from if you consume social media content and you have in your mind what is good, what is mediocre, what is bad. If you then start applying that to your own content, that can create problems because in the beginning, how long does it take to learn how to make the best type of content? It's incremental progress. You're not going to start off making Academy Award-winning content. It takes time. You have to learn what to do and how to package things. And so you should not put pressure on yourself. You should be easy on yourself. But it's very common. People will consume content they will rank content, and then they will try to apply that ranking to their own content, and then they won't make any content because they think it won't measure up. So you can't really worry about that because everybody starts somewhere, and you should go easy on yourself and give yourself a break and allow yourself the learning curve, the chance to learn how to make content. So, but if you're shy, you can start with text, switch to audio, and then move up to video. I just went right to video. I had prior experience in the public eye, so this kind of helped. I sort of knew what to expect. I still had some trepidation about posting video content, but I did have some experience being in the public eye. I did teaching of STEM subjects, engineering, for 5 years, 5 days a week for 5 years, in front of classrooms of 60, 65 people. So I had that experience. I was performing piano recitals when I was 8 years old. My parents got me and my siblings involved in musical instruments, and I was performing piano recitals in front of people at age 8. And in my first career, I was a guitarist in rock bands. I played guitar in rock bands, and every time before going on stage, there was this feeling of, anxiety. There was an anxiety because, how am I going to play? Am I going to make any mistakes? Is somebody else in the band going to make mistakes? Will somebody boo? That kind of stuff rolls through your mind before. But then you get on stage and you focus on producing the content, playing the music, and everything else becomes secondary. So I just want to say at this point that the key point about making content is you're not used to it. Once you do it and you become used to it, there's almost no fear if there's no anxiety. I found that to be true when I was teaching. The very first day I was teaching, my wife and I were walking up to the classroom, and I had some anxiety about it. But after a short time, you just get used to it. It becomes an activity. And it goes back to the fact that if you look at the past week, how many times you were in social situations surrounded by strangers, some of them you interacted with, you're used to that. You've been doing that all your life. This is really no different. The venue is different, right? If you're teaching in a classroom and you're the center of attention, that's a different venue, but you're still dealing with strangers, people who don't know you, and you're just interacting with them. So we've been doing this, all of us, all of our lives. We've gotten used to it. So just a matter of getting used to the venue, the different venue. So that being said, I was still uneasy about creating social media content, and this is what it came down to. So like all of us, I consume social media content from time to time, and I had a ranking system. This is good, this is mediocre, this is poor content. And then I applied that to myself, and I thought, I'm not going to make any content that's not, what I consider to be good. That's a mistake. You can't control how people perceive you. It's not that easy. If you talk to any movie producer or a film director, it's not that easy to predict how an audience will respond to a film. So it's very difficult to work on content, any kind of content, and have some sort of guarantee that how the public will respond. So I felt uneasy about posting social media, video content, and then I realized I'm going to stop applying my own standard that I impose on others, because it's 100% fair to look at content and figure out what content you like and what content you don't want to spend time with. That's 100% fair. But you should not impose those standards on yourself when you're starting, especially because you don't know what you're doing. It's all new. And so the uneasiness that I felt, if you look at my early videos, they're still on the channel. I've only been doing this 2.5 months. You can see that there was a progression of the content, kind of a slow progression. There's not earth-shattering progression, but I've evolved a little bit over the past 2.5 months. So the way you get over this uneasy feeling is you just do it a couple times. And this is what you find. I save this for the end because, surprise, surprise, the biggest fear people have, it's unfounded. The biggest fear people have in talking to other people is, what will my friends, relatives, and my customers say when they see me on social media? Oh my God, right? So nobody sees it. None of my relatives noticed. None of my friends noticed. None of my customers noticed. They still haven't. They would have told me. No one knows. And I purposely did not tell anyone I was going to start creating social media content because I was a little bit uneasy about it. I didn't know how. And I said to myself, I'm going to do this. If I don't come off well, then I'll just stop doing it. And no one else will know that I even tried, right? So I was just conservative about not wanting to come off poorly. And the fact is, no one has noticed. You're an unknown when you start posting social media content, and that gives you time to build up the skill to produce better content and to acclimate to the fact that some people are noticing you. Not too many, though. When you're starting, no one really knows you're posting content. And so, unlike some of the larger social media personalities, those people, when they post something, they get attention because a lot of people know they've been posting content for a while, and so they get a lot. But they're used to it; they've been doing it; they know what to expect. So the cool thing about when you're starting off is no one really knows what you're doing, that you're actually creating content. So if you're concerned about it, if you're like I was, still a little bit uneasy about the reception, how your content will be received, you shouldn't worry about it because nobody is going to know that you're there initially. So, but there's still, I have to tell you, when talking to people, there's a lot of fear about posting on social media. I don't think there's anything wrong with that because I had a lot of experience being in the public eye and I still had some uneasiness about it. And it was basically because the venue was new. It was a different venue. You post content, it's going to be there. You're not sure who's going to run into it. It's something that's in the public eye. Unlike a performance, a piano recital performance, that's a very temporary thing that occurs in a short period of time, and then it's over, and nobody can go back and look at how you did. Whereas with social media content, it stays on the social media site, and people can see it, and you don't have any control over it unless you remove it. So the venue is different. But the fact is, if you can go to the grocery store or the shopping mall or any other social situation and talk to strangers and make progress in your life, and let's face it, we all do that all the time, or we'd be stuck in our home all the time and never go outside, right? So we can all socialize with people. That's just part of being human, is socializing. So you really shouldn't have any fear. You should just keep in mind that if you're very shy, you can start with text, move up to audio, and then video. And just keep in mind you have a well-developed skill to socialize and interact with strangers, and that's all social media content creating is. And if you look at your content, if you look at early content, a year down the road, and you decide I'm going to remove that early content because it's so much different in terms of quality from what I can make now. I'd rather people see me in my best light. You can always do that. I'm not at that point yet. I have not evolved to the point where the quality of my content is vastly different from when I started 2.5 months ago. So and I may never remove the early stuff because it's cool to be able to look back and say I started from and sort of a not knowing what I was doing perspective, and I learned a lot along the way because it's a process. How long does it take to make great social media content? It's an incremental progress over time. So if you have any question about this, if you're concerned about starting to post on social media, I've only been doing it for 2.5 months. I wanted to give an update. You can post in the comments. I'll answer any questions you have. And let's see if I left anything out. Oh yeah. So one of the things people ask is, what is my motivation? When people think about posting on social media, they say, I should have a motive for doing this. There should be a purpose. And so ultimately my goal is to get back into public speaking and teaching like I used to do, and for networking purposes. Because I'm a business person, and networking with other business people is important. Having a network is important. I'd like to think I can get back into public speaking and teaching at some point. So I do have a motive for creating content. I'm trying to acclimate myself to having some measure of a social exposure, some degree of social exposure, and get used to it again, and then sort of figure out what I'm going to do next as I go. So that's kind of my objective. So it's cool to have an objective like that when you start, but you don't have to. If you just have time on your hands and you want to do this as a hobby, a lot of people do this as a hobby, just to share their situation with people who have the same interest, they're hobbyists. So anyways, if you have any questions, please feel free to post in the comments. And I really want to thank everyone for watching, and have a great day.